What's up, guys? This is Seth from TechShift. Today I want to give you my thoughts on Linux in general. I've been using Linux for a few years now. I've been using Linux, specifically Ubuntu, Gutsy Gibbon, since 6 years ago. And I want to give you my thoughts and my experience on that and answer some of the questions a lot of people have been hearing about Linux. So first and foremost, a lot of people tend to repeat this kind of old joke saying that this year will be the year of the Linux desktop, which I admit I used to be a part of that. I used to say, oh, this is it, Linux is gonna go mainstream. And I just want to say that all my years of using Linux, I don't think that's ever gonna happen, for a couple reasons. One is, I think that Ubuntu had its chance, and I think that they had the best chance out of everyone to bring Linux to the mainstream, and I think that they failed in a way. Mainly they failed their community. I've been using Ubuntu since Gutsy Gibbon, since they started using GNOME 2.6. When the Ubuntu Netbook Remix edition came out, they started using a separate desktop environment called Unity, and Unity was supposed to be optimized for the netbook. And when the netbook started dying, they decided to push Unity towards the desktop. And I think that was an okay decision to give it as an alternative, kind of like Xubuntu, Kubuntu, and all the other variants of Ubuntu. But they made a mistake, and that mistake was trying to force Unity onto us. And we were used to GNOME 2.6, and we expected to go to GNOME 3, which was a shame because when they tried to force it on us, they didn't just force it on us. They also did some shady things. I understand that they needed to make money, and Mark Shuttleworth needed to see some return of investment from Ubuntu, so they placed Amazon affiliate links on all the searches, all the Amazon results, which a lot of people weren't happy about, myself included, and I thought that was almost like a stab in the back. I almost felt like I was ashamed to be supporting this operating system, and I've been supporting it for a long time, and to prove it, I even got the hat. Look at this, I got the beanie. And if you guys are old school, you can see this is the old Ubuntu logo. It's not the new one. Mark Shuttleworth, I think he tried to be the next Bill Gates. He was a philanthropist, but he also wanted to make money out of it. And I think that going about with Unity, I think was the wrong choice. I think they should have stuck with GNOME, or if anything, they should have stuck with KDE, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. I just did a video on what programs I use on my desktop, and I was showcasing the KDE desktop. And I personally love KDE. I was actually forced to use KDE because of the Unity change, but I ended up falling in love with it. I think it's a much better desktop environment. I think that Kwin, their effects manager, is better than Compass Fusion. I think there's more synergy in KDE than GNOME, or rather Unity. And Unity has been a mess for a couple of years now. They've cleaned it up a bit, but for people that are like me, that are used to the traditional desktop, the traditional method of opening and closing apps and multitasking, Unity just couldn't cut it. It was just a roadblock to what I needed to do. If I wanted to open up a program to edit a photo, I sometimes don't want to maximize, or I want it to the side, or it was just a mess. And I think that is one of the biggest downfall of Ubuntu. And it's a real shame too, because Ubuntu had the biggest community of Linux users, and even people that didn't use Ubuntu went to Ubuntu forums to answer questions or find answers to questions, and everyone helped each other out. It was beautiful. It was and no one were assholes on the community. Everyone was very polite and very helpful. And if you were new, which Ubuntu has a newbie forum, beginners forum, you weren't criticized, or you weren't punished for being a newbie or didn't know what you were doing. People would walk you through certain steps or tell you to click here or type this, exactly that. And it was very nice. It made me appreciate Linux because I have gone to other forums, and it was if you had a question, you would be flamed for not knowing, even if it's a simple answer. So that type of elitism really put people off on Linux, and I think that Ubuntu really appealed to the masses because anyone can just pick it up. And if you were used to Windows, you can just pick it up and start using it right away. Get your browsers. Pretty much all you really need is a browser. Get your browser. You have your file manager. If you want music, there's a very wide selection of music players. The reason why Linux isn't going to be mainstream is because I believe that the desktop is dying, and I think that everyone is moving to mobile now. I think the war has already been won by Microsoft with their Windows. You can argue that Windows Vista was a disaster, or Windows 8 wasn't as popular as it should have been, but they've gotten the market share to dominate the desktop, and Mac has been a close second. And I think as we move further and further into the future, we're going to see a lot of people going into mobile. One other reason why I think that Linux will never be mainstream is the different distros. We have a lot of different distros. We have Debian based distros. We have the Red Hat versions, which like I said, diversification is good. Don't get me wrong, it's good to have choices, but sometimes people just want some type of standard. People want to open up Linux and have that umbrella of Linux and say, okay, I want to install something. What do I do? And the standard model will be open up the terminal or open up the console, type sudo apt-get, then install the program. But in Red Hat or OpenSUSE, it's different. It's the package managers use RPM and not Debian. So if you want that exe easy one-step installer, some systems aren't compatible. And then some systems, instead of sudo apt-get, you have to do sudo yum, so they don't use apt-get as the package manager. And this may sound confusing, and it kind of is, but think of a package manager or fetching apps from a source, such as Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store, and then it starts to make sense. On Linux, we have certain repositories which are almost the same thing. We have the Ubuntu repository, and you can add and remove different repositories on your own. So getting apps has been quite a challenge among the Linux users. Some apps will work, some apps won't work. Some apps are designed for certain desktop environments, like we have Qt apps for KDE, and then we have GTK Plus apps for GNOME. And if you mix and match the two, you'll get kind of the same effect if you mix and match widgets and skins on Android. They just don't look right, and they just look really ugly. I think Apple does it the best. They have a very streamlined look on all their apps, and there's no break in the design philosophy. You cannot have your own opinion on what is and what is not good design, but you got to give credit to Apple for making it all streamlined and not distracting from the Apple experience. You don't go on an Apple machine and say, oh, this looks like Windows. What is that? But in the case of Linux, if you use Wine or if you use GTK Plus apps on a KDE machine, you're kind of like, what is that? That doesn't look right. So the standardization is a problem with Linux, and I think it's always going to be a problem. And that's one of the reasons why I think Linux won't go mainstream. Having said that, I think Linux has made its mark. If you're watching this video and you go to different websites, 99% of all websites run on Linux. So it has an effect on your life, and I think that's one thing that people don't realize. And what we need is more support for Linux. IBM supported them a couple years ago with their whole open campaign, and Linux is open, and a couple of other companies have joined the Linux Foundation. But I think the real reason why Linux is not going to be mainstream is because some of the hardware issues. Excuse me, that's not the main reason, but that's another reason why it won't be mainstream. I'll give you a quick little example. I just recently bought a wireless AC router. Now, if you guys don't know, wireless AC is the new standard and it's faster than N. So I also bought a wireless USB adapter for my computer since I don't run wires. I don't want to run wires through my living room. And I bought a couple different kinds. I bought Netgear, Linksys, and none of them work. They don't have the drivers available for Linux. And there's workarounds where you can downgrade the driver to use wireless. But what's the point of me buying a wireless AC USB adapter when I have a wireless AC router? And that's one thing that really bothered me. I know that Linux was the first ones to have drivers for USB 3, but when we have a standard like wireless internet, you know, it bothers me that things like this come to Linux so late. It bothers me that Steam comes to Linux last, and it bothers me that all other commercial support comes to Linux last. And I think that is going to be a problem for me because, you know, I like to be on top of the latest and greatest as far as technology. And it just, I always ask myself, why is there such a prejudice towards this operating system or this community? And one of the reasons why is a lot of people think Linux users are a bunch of hackers and freeloaders, and we just want everything for free. We're just gonna steal it and torrent it. You know, I have a lot of stuff that I buy. You know, I buy all my CDs, some of my music, and you know, sometimes I just want to torrent them. I have them, and I bought Bibble Labs Aftershock Pro. Corel's Aftershock Pro. You know, we have money. We're not always thieves, and that misconception has that reputation has damaged the Linux community, and it seems like it's the bastard child of development. People don't want to develop for it because they just want everything for free, and there's no room for commercial support. Well, I just want to say, for me, I can't speak for everyone, that I'm willing to pay for good quality apps. If Apple made Final Cut Pro or Sony made Sony Vegas or any other professional video editing program for Linux, I would gladly pay for it. I bought Aftershock Pro for $150 or so. You know, we're not all cheapskates, and I think that's a misconception that has hurt Linux, and I think that will never heal. So that's pretty much it for this video. This is my little rant on Linux, my experience with it so far. Quick little overview. I do love Linux. I wish it had more commercial support. I hate that hardwares don't support Linux, but overall it has gotten the job done for me. Check out our website, check out our YouTube videos. Most of our content on our website is done on Linux, and right now we're moving some of the professional video work towards Mac, but our previous videos, most of them were done on Linux. So that's it for this video. Please like, favorite, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think. Do you like Linux? Do you use Linux? What do you guys think about the whole Linux experience? Thanks again, and thanks for watching. Bye.